Hi, it's Aubrey, and this is vlog number 7. Let's get right into it. So first we started with You Are What You Click, and it discusses the pros and cons of how Google and other search engines know everything that's searched on the internet and what each user searches. So for instance, what I search, what you search. And it discusses this as an invasion of our privacy. Yet it can also be argued that it keeps us safe in certain ways. So I think that we can add to this as how Google uses the search information to direct internet ads as well, because that's another part of it, to us in a certain way. Everyone has likely experienced a moment where you were talking to a friend or a family member and you were talking about something that you wanted to buy or that you were thinking about getting, and then suddenly before the end of that day, you get an advertisement on your phone for an item or something that you were talking about, and you're like, whoa. And for a moment it's just like simply shocking how quickly your phone converted something it heard or something that you wrote over text into an ad for your phone, and it can feel invading and even a little bit infuriating at times, and it feels as though our devices are invading our private conversations. On the other hand, the fact that Google tracks our searches and stuff like that, and that we're kind of being listened to a little bit by our devices, means that they listen to other people as well. And that means that dangerous people with dangerous intentions can be watched and reported for their Google searches or for things that they say. And it can potentially keep others safe because of that. Whether you agree or disagree with phones listening to us, it's only a matter of technology developing further that we continue to be monitored in all of our devices. Next, we read the IRL fetish, and it discusses a topic that we're all very aware of, as it's been taking over our lives in one way or another over the last few years, and that's social media. So people communicate a lot through social media, and we're in an age of social media. It can seem at times like people spend more time talking to others through social media platforms than they do in a face-to-face conversation. Young people, especially growing up right now, are growing up in a social media age where they're simply learning to communicate over social media more than they communicate in person. That's just how it is. That's just how their generation is living life, and it's going to be interesting to see them grow up and see what changes about that. We can apply this knowledge too to the current pandemic, even though this article obviously, or this passage wasn't written since the pandemic started, but you can apply how communication through social media has possibly eased the separation that we've been feeling due to the pandemic. So in a lot of ways, social media divides and connects us. Right now, people who can't see each other because they're not in the same house and it's not safe can communicate and stay connected over social media, which can be a good thing. But then when there's not a pandemic going on and we're living just our regular lives and we're choosing to communicate more over social media than we are in person, we might be doing a detriment to ourselves because of it. Social media can be something that discourages us from communicating in person and building real-world relationships and real-world connections with other people. There's something to be said about a face-to-face connection that's just a little bit more tangible and feels a little bit better than obviously a connection over, the phone through a screen. That being said, social media is an amazing technological advancement in that, it's something that we all are so attached to at this point. But it's also something that can hold us back, and it's going to be interesting to see how social media develops. And for instance, we started with earlier social media being things like having pages like MySpace or Facebook, and now we're seeing that social media is becoming something like content creation such as TikTok. And so it's interesting to see how social media is developing and how it's changing the way we communicate, whereas Facebook was still pictures and pages and things that you liked, MySpace as well. And TikTok's now, videos of yourself. So it's interesting to see how this is all changing and how it's going to change the way we communicate. But it is ultimately, the more we communicate over our phones, the less we communicate in person. And it's going to be interesting to see what kind of detriment that has to people as they grow up in that kind of setting. All of that being said, that was vlog number 7. Thank you.